Hey everybody, remember how we geared up for those Thanksgiving conversations last month? Well, now it's time to shine for the Christmas gatherings, because this is not just going to be another market summary. It's your secret weapon for those holiday dinner table debates. Because I don't want you nodding along cluelessly when Uncle Charlie brags about his market predictions or Aunt Mary gets it wrong again. We're going to be covering mortgage rates, the Fed's latest move, the stock market's joyride that's going on right now, and even some housing inventory shenanigans. So grab your favorite holiday drink and let's get you sounding like a real estate guru this holiday season as we unravel the Denver real estate market together. Let's start with mortgage rates. Where are they headed? Well, if you've been paying attention over the last 7 weeks, they have been trending downward. Currently, they're sitting at 6.625%. And since usually nothing much really happens the last 2 weeks of the year, this could be where we end up for 2023. Psst, don't forget to tune in next week when I cover the year-end report, and we'll see if that's correct. And even though we're in what's considered high sixes, home buyers have taken notice. According to Nicole Ruth of the Ruth Lending Team, buyer demand was up 20% at the end of last week. So for those of you thinking you want to be a homeowner in 2024, you need to get moving like those buyers to be able to make your move in 2024. Oh my God, that is a terrible realtor pun. But I know some of you are still hesitating because you've heard that the Fed indicated rates would be dropping in 2024. I'll give you Powell's report in a moment. I just want you to remember that when rates drop and the demand spikes, you're going to lose that competitive edge. That brings us to the Fed's latest move. You know, when the Federal Reserve met last week, Jerome was the man of the hour, but he remained pretty politically correct in his responses as to where interest rates were headed. Due to a stronger than expected wages report, jobs report, and an increase in consumer confidence, he said, and I quote, "The economy is normalizing and doesn't need the tight policy. We are at or near the peak rate for this cycle. Overall, the development of the labor market has been very positive. It's a good time for workers to find jobs and get solid wage increases." Then he said, "The inflation fight isn't over, but central bank policymakers will start to discuss policy easing amid signs of cooling in both inflation and the labor market." So he's basically saying that we're possibly at the peak rate of increases. Not quite where he wants the economy yet, but we're headed in the right direction. And, you know, maybe we don't need any more rate hikes this cycle because the job market is softening. It's starting to go back to more historic norms. But remember, he's still looking for signs of more cooling in both inflation and the labor market. And I don't know about you, but at the mall this weekend, it was pretty crowded. A lot of people were out shopping. Now, this statement was perceived as a massive win for the markets. We saw the stock market jump up in response to this news. Along with that statement, the Fed released what's called the Fed dot plot. Now, this is where we're really getting to see what the Fed is thinking will happen with the interest rates moving forward, and whether or not they're going to need to raise them or lower them. And here on the graph, you can see that they're forecasting what will happen. First, we see that there's no rate increases. In fact, we see 3 rate drops in 2024, and even potentially rates dropping in 25 and 26. But the Fed updates the Fed dot plot 4 times a year, so let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's just deal with 2024 right now, since none of us have a crystal ball. You know, the stock market was ecstatic with the news, and they jumped 500 points to a record high in response to this information from the Fed. Because the market is looking at this graph and thinking, wow, we could have perhaps a 4.5% Fed rate, which translates to a 6.5% interest rate by mid-2024, with some forecasting even a 6.1% interest rate by the end of 2024, depending on who you're listening to. However, a word of caution, also in that Fed dot plot graph, it said the Fed is expecting unemployment rate of 4.1%. Currently, we're at 3.7, which means we would have to have more job loss. Again, as with most forecasts or predictions, we never really know where it's going, but obviously, we're not quite there yet. And this coming year will probably be pretty much a roller coaster. Rates may go sideways, they'll go down, they'll go up as adjustments are made throughout the year. And the reason I say that is I remember in 2022, we were thinking rates would go down in 2023, and instead they went up with small occasional dips. Once again, if you're a buyer and you're paying attention to these interest rates, you're going to have to be ready and prepared to make your move quickly, because rates could change just as quickly. And remember, just like you, there's going to be a whole bunch of other buyers who want to be homeowners in 2024 watching these rates as well. And in a tight inventory market, competition could become very fierce. Speaking of inventory, For the last few months, we've seen an increase in housing inventory, jumping up to about 2.4 months supply, still well below the 5 to 7 months supply we need for a balanced market. However, recently that number dropped down to 1.9 months supply, slightly under 2 months. Now, part of that's going to be seasonal because we do see sellers removing their homes from the market between Thanksgiving and New Year's if they're not under contract during the holidays. And of course, due to this tight housing inventory, house prices are still continuing to creep upward. The median price of a home last month was $565,000, which is up from November of 2022 when the median home price was $559,850. And even though the days on market have increased to around 23 days, a lot of that's going to be due to the holiday season and the slowing at this time of year. Median prices are still up almost 1% year over year. Now, for buyers out there, this is always a good time of year to buy, right? Yeah, because the only home sellers on the market are the ones that need to go somewhere. But before you think you're just going to get a screaming deal, you need to know that we're seeing less of a discount this year than we saw at this time last year. So with median prices up and less of a discount this year, no one's really losing any money, even if they have to sell at this time of year. The December's market update really gives us some things to keep in mind moving forward. Mortgage rates, while they've been dropping and are currently at 6.625%, there's predictions suggesting that there's going to be potential for more decreases in 2024. Now, as exciting as that is, it could also create more competitive market for buyers, making now a really good time to make your move, or at least prepare to be a homeowner in 2024. The recent Federal Reserve meeting and the announcement indicating potential rate drops and a shift toward a more normalized economic environment sounds great, but it comes at the cost of needing more job losses, which is never fun. And it really hasn't happened yet. The numbers are going in the opposite direction. So this is a metric you need to keep your eye on, especially if you're trying to follow the rates when planning your move. And remember, current inventory is lower than ideal. And this is partially seasonal, so buyers, you might find great opportunities to purchase now. However, sellers who don't need to move right away may want to wait for a more favorable condition in early 2024. Median home prices are still on the rise, driven as always by supply and demand. Even though appreciation has slowed down, sellers can remain optimistic about maintaining their property's value. My name is Peggy Dursthoff at Live Denver Suburbs, powered by HomeSmart. As we wrap up 2023 and move into 2024, these insights in mind as you navigate your real estate journey, and I hope this information helps you when you're discussing the Denver real estate market dinner table. If you like this video, check out this one over here where we discuss the strategy of counterproposals and how to use them when negotiating on a house. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy your holiday celebration, and see you next week when we wrap up 23.